You guys are back in the old school. Hey guys, I'm the Retro Reject, and I would just like to say I am sorry that I uploaded this late. Because simply, the fact that Toho, the company who makes the Godzilla movies, they are really, 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 really sensitive about what kind of footage you put on YouTube. Because I tried uploading this video so many times, multiple times, but every time I uploaded it, Toho picked out new footage to copyright claim me on. And I had to always go back and then edit it and then just having to upload again, but then they always pick something new to copyright claim me, so that's why this video kind of took a little bit long to upload it the way it is. So really, I hope you guys enjoy it because I had to spend a lot of time on this. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. By the way, it's my top 10 favorite Godzilla monsters. And also, of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, whatever the heck you want to do. And also, comment down below if you guys want to see me talk about Godzilla King of the Monsters, because I just saw it, and in my opinion, it's a really good movie, but there are a couple of flaws in it. So, without further ado, let's get on into it!
Number 10. Gabbar. Now, wait, don't exit out of the video just yet. Looks like I'm gonna have to explain why I consider Gabbar a favorite. Well, I feel like any monster that beats up Godzilla's son deserves to be part of this favorite list. And, I mean, he's a very well-known reject monster. I mean, his only appearance was in a movie called Godzilla's Revenge. The whole message of the movie is basically to stand up for yourself against bullies. But it's kind of hard to understand that message when stuff like this happens. I mean, you might seriously think I'm joking here, because Gabbar gets thrown around a lot. I mean, look at that! But Gabbar is pretty unique, because he does have a pretty cool power, which is electric shocking hands, and I think that's pretty awesome. Now, some people think that it's kind of a dumb power, because it's like he has to actually get up close to his enemies and shock them by that, but it's not the worst power. It's not worse than being a bird and just flying around, or being just a gigantic T-Rex, or a giant spider, or even just so disgusting that I'm just dumping my sludge all over my enemies and just being pure disgustingness. So yeah, the reason why I consider Gabbar my 10th favorite is because he's a very unique monster and really doesn't deserve the hate that was put against him. I mean, he has some interesting powers, and he serves as a main point for the message the movie was trying to get across. So G-fans, give Gabbar another chance, because he deserves it. Number 9. King Caesar. He's an ancient lion god for the people of Japan and protects them from any harm. And of course, that includes evil alien robots that were sent out to destroy the world by evil aliens trying to save their home planet. And one of his coolest abilities is that he's able to absorb any enemy's beam attack and basically shoot it right back at them. His only appearances were in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Godzilla Final Wars. Now, King Caesar, like Gabbar, is a very unique monster. He has some pretty unique abilities, and he's very quick and nimble on his feet. But he's not really that strong. But at least makes sense, because, of course, Gabbar was fighting Godzilla, but he lost. But King Caesar has to deal with Mechagodzillas, which is a weapon that was specifically designed to destroy Godzilla. Despite his disadvantage, he still puts up a good fight against Mechagodzilla, and then when Godzilla arrives, he's able to... Oh my gosh, he's trying to make him eat missiles! But anyway, Godzilla arrives, and of course he helps King Caesar. Oh my gosh, he's trying to make him blow his brains out! Oh my gosh! King Caesar is a very unique monster with some very unique abilities, and despite him not being that strong, he's still able to put up a good fight, and people will definitely agree that he's a lot better than Gabbar. Number 8. King Kong. Wait a minute, Retro Reject. King Kong's not a Godzilla monster. Man, you don't know your monsters. Well, reaction to me pretending to be the audience. You are wrong, because King Kong actually is a Godzilla monster. Toho, the company who makes the Godzilla movies, decided to monsterify King Kong and put him in 2 movies, which were King Kong vs. Godzilla and King Kong Escape. And of course there's going to be another King Kong vs. Godzilla, which is going to be made by Legendary Pictures. Now, with a fight between a giant ape and an atomic-breathing dinosaur, you would automatically go for the atomic-breathing dinosaur. But Toho decided to give King Kong a better advantage in this fight, so that when he was struck by lightning, he would get, of course, static charge, kind of like Gabbar's Shocking Hands, and as well as super strength. So, this is how King Kong is able to fight Godzilla, with some good power into it. Of course, this whole lightning power was actually originally going to be that Godzilla was going to fight a giant Frankenstein, so that's where the whole... Oh my gosh, he's trying to shove a tree down his throat! Oh my gosh! But anyway, King Kong is able to put up a really good fight against Godzilla, and he's actually one of the few monsters that actually beat Godzilla in a fight. And of course, this is the reason why King Kong is higher than King Caesar and Gabbar, but he's also pretty low on this list because I'm not exactly the biggest King Kong fan. And with the battle ending, King Kong wins. Now, there was a rumored double ending, like in the Japanese version Godzilla won, and in the English version King Kong won, but no, in both versions, King Kong wins. Number 7. Titanosaurus. What, did you expect me to put him at number 1? Well, I wish I could, but there's some things that are holding me back. Like, he only appeared in 1 movie, Terror of Mechagodzilla. And a lot of people say that he's just a more aquatic version of Godzilla, but I have to say, you're dead wrong! He has some pretty cool abilities, like the ability to jump really high. But his most iconic power is definitely the one that defines him the best, is that he's able to open up his fins and basically cause hurricane force winds. Now, the reason why Titanosaurus is a little bit higher on this list is because, well, I have nostalgia for Titanosaurus, and Terror of Mechagodzilla was like one of the first Godzilla movies I ever watched as a kid. And also, I'd like to point this out to G-fans who think that Titanosaurus is just a lame monster. Titanosaurus was able to... Wait, what is he doing? Okay. Oh, wow, Titanosaurus. But anyway, Titanosaurus was able to keep Godzilla at bay, and the only reason Mechagodzilla was there was if Godzilla got back up from fighting, Mechagodzilla would just shoot him back down. And I feel like any monster that has the ability to dance on Godzilla's grave, deserves to be a little bit higher on this list. He is a reject monster that, well, I'm very glad to call my friend. And also he paid me to put him a little bit high on this list. Number 6. Mothra. She's basically a giant butterfly, a moth, I really don't know which. And she's basically a guardian of the Earth, and she only comes in response to 3 things. Number 1, if Earth is in trouble. 2, her twin fairies are in trouble. Or 3, her egg is in trouble. She's one of the many monsters that starred in multiple movies. She got her own, which was literally called Mothra, and then she starred in Godzilla movies like Godzilla vs. Mothra, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, Godzilla and Mothra Battle for Earth, Tokyo SOS, and Godzilla Final Wars. Now, like King Kong, you would expect that an insect wouldn't be able to provide much of a good fight between Godzilla, but she actually does prove herself worthy, but her main purpose is just to keep the peace. Now, there's one funny scene in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster where basically Rodan and Godzilla are fighting, so Mothra basically sprays Godzilla with her webbing, and Rodan just basically laughs and chuckles, but then Rodan gets it as well, and then just Godzilla, he just... I have no words. But her whole purpose in this scene was basically to provide a peace talk between the both of them so that they could work together to fight Ghidorah. But, of course, they don't agree to it. So Mothra has to fight Ghidorah herself in her larva form. But then Godzilla and Rodan, they decide to join the fight, and Mothra helps. But, of course, after the end of the fight, Godzilla is at peace with Mothra and gives her a helping hand. She may not be as threatening compared to other monsters in the franchise, but she can still hold her own, and she has beaten Godzilla on several occasions, which considers her favorable material. Number 5. Now, you may want to pronounce this guy's name as Destoroyah, but it's actually pronounced Destoroyah! I mean, look at this guy! I mean, he's so awesome! I mean, he killed Godzilla's own son, and, I mean, I said, this guy looks like a demon out of hell! And he's one of the few monsters in the franchise that was actually destroyed by the military, not Godzilla himself. And, man, he put up a good fight against Godzilla in this movie. His only appearance, Godzilla vs. Destoroyah! His origins was brilliantly tied back to the original Gojira, which I explained in a theory that I had about the original Oxygen Destroyer, which the crustaceous life around the Oxygen Destroyer was mutated and then became these things. I mean, they kind of look like the alien xenomorphs, but just a lot more scary. I mean, look at these things. And just, man, are they threatening. Yeah, these guys look like the xenomorphs. Except laser blast and stuff like that. But then they all form together to become the threatening Destoroyah! Yeah, definitely a far from what Mothra's design is. Like I said, pure demon out of hell. Number 4. Gigan. He's an alien creature that looks like a parrot that was crossed with a table saw, a pirate, and a Cylon from Battlestar Galactica. His only appearances were in Godzilla vs. Gigan, Godzilla vs. Megalon, oh that's sad, and Godzilla Final Wars. And his appearance in Final Wars, I mean, it was a far upgrade compared to what he looked like in the Showa era. Now, Gigan's not really the strongest monster ever. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like he's one of the more weaker versions because in all 3 of his appearances, he had to require help from other monsters, like with King Ghidorah in Final Wars and Godzilla vs. Gigan, and with Megalon in Godzilla vs. Megalon. But I mean, he just looks cool. That's why I feel like he's better. But I mean, I feel like he's just better because I mean, he looks cooler. Or than Destoroyah. I mean, seriously, look at this guy. He has chainsaws for arms. I mean, demon out of hell? No, I would rather take the monster with chainsaws for arms. But, I mean, the Showa era Gigan is awesome as well. I mean, sure, yeah, he's a complete idiot, but he made Godzilla bleed, as well as Anguirus. What? No. Oh, that's disgusting. Now, Gigan is one of the more cool-looking monsters, and sure, he's not that strong, but hey, as long as if he has backup, he's a force to be reckoned with. Number 3. Rodan. Now, I hear a lot of Godzilla fans say that Anguirus is like Godzilla's best friend, but I actually seem to think that Rodan is actually Godzilla's best friend, because they star in a lot more movies together, and he just seems like a greater ally to Godzilla. He started in his own movie, which was literally called Rodan, and then Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster, with Godzilla, and then an invasion of the Astro Monster, and then Destroy All Monsters, and then even in Godzilla Final Wars. Now, there's probably a couple other movies, but... Now, at first, Godzilla and Rodan, they basically hated each other. They were basically fighting each other all throughout Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster. It wasn't until Mothra showed up and basically was just gonna talk some peace sense into them, like, of course, spraying with them with webs and then just simply talking to them. Now, of course, they were first disagreed with Mothra's intent that they didn't want to become friends until they came to their senses and they were like, okay, yeah, we'll help you fight Ghidorah. And, of course, then Rodan helped Godzilla fight King Ghidorah in Invasion of the Astro Monster and many other movies afterwards. Now, he may not be big with powers, but in later films he would develop this power to shoot firebolts out of his mouth, but he can still put up a good fight, and I always consider him one of Godzilla's greatest allies, and always will be. Number 2. King Ghidorah, or as other people call him, King Ghidorah. And also, he's known as Godzilla's arch-nemesis. Now, basically, this guy is one of the most iconic monsters ever, and in fact, he's showing up in the new Godzilla movie that's coming out. But his first appearance was in Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, and then in Invasion of the Astro Monster, Destroy All Monsters, Godzilla vs. Gigan, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, and then Godzilla Final Wars. Ghidorah is basically a space dragon from another planet that's controlled by aliens from another planet wanting to destroy and conquer the world, and it always had to take more than one monster to defeat him, but usually at the end of every battle, Ghidorah would retreat. What is Godzilla doing? Oh, he's dancing. I can't resist. Anyway, back on topic. I think, because Godzilla was just blasted in the balls and his butt. Anyway, basically Godzilla could never fight Ghidorah alone, because one of Ghidorah's most iconic powers was basically to shoot lightning out of his three heads. And I always got confused, the three heads have separate genders, or I don't know. But anyway, Godzilla would never fight Ghidorah alone, always relying on Rodan, or both Rodan and Mothra, to fight. And he never actually fought Ghidorah alone until in the Heisei era of the Godzilla movies, which was a movie called Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, which basically Godzilla was at his match with King Ghidorah. But of course, once again, Godzilla easily defeated him, and probably one of the most coolest battles that ever happened in the series that a lot of fans were excited to see. I mean, they were flying, Ghidorah was flying around, Godzilla was getting choked by Ghidorah. I mean, it was awesome. It's an intense battle that all the fans were waiting to see, except Ghidorah just hopping on Godzilla. And then, of course, Godzilla picking up by the tail and just slamming him into the ground. He even blasts one of Ghidorah's heads off, and then Ghidorah comes back in probably one of the most coolest forms ever. I think this is my favorite version of King Ghidorah, which is Mecha King Ghidorah. And it's also surprising at this point, this Ghidorah is actually a good guy, because he's controlled by people from the future who are trying to stop Godzilla, because he's basically evil this time, and he's just destroying cities like in the original Gojira. King Ghidorah is basically Godzilla's most iconic opponent ever. And, of course, why am I saying this? He's only number 2. Who's number 1? Well, let's reveal him. Number 1. Yes, my favorite Godzilla monster is the Showa Mechagodzilla. And no, Mechagodzilla didn't pay me to put him at number 1. I honestly think he's that cool. He's better than the other Mechagodzillas in the series. And he only had 2 appearances, which were in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Terror of Mechagodzilla. Now, King Ghidorah may be Godzilla's arch nemesis, but Mechagodzilla is a close second. I mean, look at this guy. He is so threatening. Even other monsters are afraid of him. And that's because, well, he's armed to the teeth with weapons. A chest laser, seriously, that can cut through solid rock. I mean, oh, Caesar's like, oh, I'm doomed. He provides a very close match against Godzilla. I mean, he uses flight, and Godzilla, what is the matter with you? You accidentally hit King Caesar. And, I mean, he even has laser eyes. I mean, you can't go wrong with lasers, seriously. And he has this, special all-out attack mode, which basically does a lot of damage. He uses everything. His laser eyes, his chest laser, he has finger missiles, toe missiles, knee missiles. I mean, he is armed to the teeth with everything, and he almost defeated Godzilla. I mean, seriously, I wouldn't blame the military if they wanted to create a weapon like this. I mean, Mechagodzilla is the ultimate weapon. If it could destroy Godzilla, I mean, imagine what it could do in real life. I mean, he even makes Godzilla bleed, which is something very few monsters could do. I mean, it just sprays out of his neck. And it's no surprise that Mechagodzilla is controlled by evil aliens that are trying to destroy and conquer the world, as I previously mentioned in a lot of episodes previous to this episode. Now, of course, many G fans don't really remember this, but Godzilla would have lost both battles in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and in Terror of Mechagodzilla if Godzilla didn't do something new. In in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, he had to create a new power, which was basically to become a giant magnet. Now, Godzilla fans are confused by this because they don't know if it was just because the darts that Mechagodzilla shot into Godzilla, and then earlier in the film, he was struck by lightning, so some people think it's because the stored power of lightning. But anyway, Godzilla would have lost if he didn't use this power to attract Mechagodzilla back to him, and which then he got close enough to basically just brutally turn his head around and then just decapitate him, which is probably Mechagodzilla's like #1 trait that happens in this film. And it's also the same thing that happens in Terror of Mechagodzilla, but it comes with a little twist. When Godzilla decapitated Mechagodzilla in Terror of Mechagodzilla, the aliens came prepared, knowing that this would happen. They actually installed a robotic brain into him, and which would still fight back against Godzilla. And once again, Godzilla would have lost this battle if it weren't for one thing. You see, this one person named Katsura in the movie, she had control over Mechagodzilla, so she had to kill herself so that Mechagodzilla could be destroyed. So yeah, Godzilla would have lost if it weren't for those things. That's why Mechagodzilla is the greatest. He's an evil alien robot created by aliens and controlled by aliens to destroy Godzilla, and armed to the teeth with weapons, laser eyes, missiles, a chest laser, oh man, and even flight. It's just too bad not all the monsters in the Godzilla franchise are that iconic. Well, until next time, this is the Retro Reject, the old school is out. Say goodbye, Mechagodzilla.